a little bit. If you want to go back with me to the 80s, end of 80s, early 90s. It was a good time. We're glad it's over. It's a little piece called War. She had frizzy Jew hair and wore Banana Republic tees like all the girls at junior high school 67 in Bayside, Queens. And a nameplate that said Stephanie in diamonds. Her mother packed her lunch in a brown paper bag with a turkey sandwich wrapped in tinfoil, a yellow box of Bachman's pretzel sticks, and a Ziploc full of green grapes with a smiley face on the front and a note that said, "Love, Mom." My mother, on the other hand, dumped tuna fish on white bread, grabbed a handful of strawberry wafers, and threw them all in a plastic bag from the A&P, resulting by lunchtime in what can only be described as a microcosm of the ocean, whereby the little tuna bits would sort of be floating in the fish juice and the cookies would expand to look like sea anemones. My lunch mirrored my life, broken and soggy, and nobody wanted to trade with me. My parents were going through a separation involving my father's affair with a Scientologist. And surprisingly, I discovered the hard way that asking kids if they believed L. Ron Hubbard was the Messiah did not make you cool. It made you go see the guidance counselor. So come 8th grade, I had very few friends and very many worries. And I was looking for someone to take them all away. And there was Stephanie Skolnick. She had a big ass and huge boobs and just seemed so grown up. I, however, was a late bloomer. In math class, Daniel Stieglitz called me a tetrahedron. And when I asked the teacher what that meant, he said a four-sided flat figure, to which Daniel replied, "Like your tits!" And such was life in the gifted program. But Stephanie Skolnick wore a bra, and her trapper keeper was super organized. I wanted to be her, befriend her. I wanted her to save me. But there was an impediment to my plan, and her name was Lori Fryman. Lori had frosted hair and even bigger boobs, and was best friends with Stephanie, and she had the accoutrements to prove it. Around Lori's neck was one half of a gold heart that said, "Be Frid." And on Stephanie's neck, just over her nameplate, was the other half that read, "Ends." Yes, they were best friends, and nobody could come between them, but I tried. Though I didn't actually own a bra at that time, or obviously tonight, I stole one from Woolworths, and then stuffed it with my mother's shoulder pads, and wore it to school to fit in with them. Daniel Stieglitz did not call me a tetrahedron that day, but he did grab my pillowy bosom, and the jig was up. I ate my wet tuna alone that day, as usual. If I had a best friend, I thought, I would tell her all my secrets, like that I recently discovered my clitoris while studying world history, and at the same time realized there was more than one use for a highlighter. What? I'm not saying I invented the dildo, but I was definitely onto something. Anyway, I kept both of those things to myself. One day, however, I caught my lucky break. Stephanie and Lori had a big fight over some boy, and this was my chance. Every time Stephanie left class, I was there to walk her to the next one. We ate lunch together. She gave me the crust of her bread. It was awesome. Then she told me she was staying late one day after school for this new program called Intramural Sports, where the school stayed open till 6 o'clock so you could play basketball and make out with boys. Well, I didn't want to make out with boys or play basketball, but since Stephanie was doing it, I threw on my gym shorts and called my mother from the payphone and said, "I'll be a little late tonight." Then, amidst the sounds of balls clanging, I found myself in the girls' bathroom with Stephanie, and for the very first time, we were alone. We played with each other's hair like girls do and ended up on the floor just talking. I was telling her about my dad's affair, and she said her mother was an alcoholic. I started to cry, and so did she. And I did what I felt I had to do. I held her hand. Her mind's out of the gutter. And this became our ritual every Tuesday night. We'd lie on the cold tile floor, holding hands and sobbing. Oh my God, I wanted her. I mean, I didn't want her, but I wanted to be her, be next to her, be inside her, but not inside her, more like I wanted to be next to her all the time, so the easiest way was to be inside her. I loved her, and maybe one day I'd get to wear the be-free half of her heart. But until then, I could at least enjoy the benefits of our new friendship. I thought of bonding activities, like, asking her how to show me how to use a tampon. I had finally gotten my period, and I was so excited for her to give me a step-by-step tutorial. But despite my insistence that I am a visual learner, she had me stay on one side of the bathroom door while she stood on the other. Put it in, then push. I purposely failed repeatedly, hoping she'd give in, wasting an entire box of Tampax. But instead, she got pissed and was like, just follow the directions on the box. It might seem obvious to you, definitely you, but it never occurred to me that wanting her in such close proximity to my vagina might have been a sign. On the last week of 8th grade, Stephanie called to tell me she was sick and staying home from school. Well, I quickly seized my opportunity, told my mother I was sick, and then hopped the bus to Steffi's house. She answered the door in her Charlie's Angels pajama bottoms and white Hanes V-neck tee. We sat down to play war on her bedroom floor. Me collecting her dirty tissues every time she sneezed, praying I would catch whatever disease she had, and then we could stay home every day for the rest of our lives. And that's when it happened. She leaned forward, tossing an ace of spades, and I looked down her shirt. I tried not to, but her boobs were so big. What was it like having such big boobs? Could you hide things between them? I threw down a card and kept staring, thinking, Nikki, look at your hand, but I couldn't stop looking at her boobs. What was it like in there? Was it warm? Could I live there? I was so lost in her cleavage that I didn't notice when she threw down her last card and called, war! And then she looked up and caught my eye, the ones that were glued to her breasts. Oh shit, she knows. And the look she gave me said it all. What the fuck are you doing? I placed my cards down and got up. I walked into the bathroom, turned on the water. There was a mirrored vanity above the sink. A little sailboat sat in the shelf, a piece of fishing line connecting the mast to the boom. I could kill myself, I thought. I could take this piece of string and slice my wrist under the water. She knows. I'm not sure that actually would have worked, but the way I felt, death by figurine seemed a better option than coming out of the bathroom. Stephanie didn't talk to me at school the next day, or the day after that. And when I tried to call her during the next few weeks, she didn't come to the phone. Then she called to tell me she was leaving to start high school a year early. She knew. I didn't know what she knew because I didn't know what I knew, but I made her leave. Of that I was sure. That summer I stayed in my room and didn't come out. I started high school a year later and saw Steffi for the first time in the halls. She had a whole new group of friends and was dating the smartest boy in our grade, Alan Elfman. He was cute and smart and Jewish. She deserved him. We never spoke again. But a few weeks ago, my mom ran into Stephanie's mom at the A&P. They said hello, and Stephanie's mom told my mother that Stephanie was a doctor and that she was married to a doctor. And they had a little son, and Stephanie worked at Sloan Kettering, the world's foremost cancer hospital. And my mother said, well, Nikki has a show. That night, I got on Facebook and friended Stephanie Skolnick. She accepted. And when I noticed she was online, I got so excited and messaged her right away. Hey, I wrote, it's been a long time. Hi, she wrote back. No exclamation point. Nothing. Well, my mother ran into your mom recently who said you were doing great. That's awesome, I told her. Thanks, she wrote back. No exclamation point. Nothing. And suddenly, I was just overcome with this urge to set the record straight and to tell her, I'm sorry for freaking you out. I didn't mean to look down your shirt. It's just that I was so curious, and you were so pretty. And the truth is, you weren't just my best friend. You were the first woman I ever loved. But before I could type anything, The green dot disappeared, and she was off chat. Maybe her baby was crying, maybe she had to go cure cancer, or maybe she just didn't give a shit. And I realized in that moment that nothing had changed, but everything was different. I was no longer the sad, lonely teenage tetrahedron at junior high school 67 in Bayside, Queens. I was a 35-year-old, thriving homosexual with freaking huge tits. And I thought, thank God life gets better after 8th grade.